Hey everybody, welcome back again to another episode of Momentum Motorsports Meeting. My name is Wyatt Thompson. Oh my goodness, we've got quite a lot to cover. We've got the Cup Series race and the Xfinity Series race at World Wide Technology Speedway, or as people like to call it, Gateway. And then we've got the Italian Grand Prix for the F1. And then we've got a bunch of news regarding IndyCar Series, Xfinity Series, maybe even a little bit of F1, because I think that relates to it. So, should be a very fun episode. Should be another fun one to kind of dive in and talk about. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. This is Momentum Motorsports Meeting. Alrighty, so we're gonna kind of kick things off here with the NASCAR Cup Series race at Gateway, or World Wide Technology Raceway. Race number 2 of the round of 16. Where do we even begin? I guess we'll go ahead and start with the winner. And your winner is Denny Hamlin. Yeah, Denny Hamlin gets win number 59. Wow, that's just impressive. I think this is his 5th win of the season. And right now, I think he's gotten to the championship 4 a lot, but not in the next gen era. And I think this year might be his best chance to make the championship 4. Now, there's still a round of 12 and the round of 8 to get to, so still plenty of time to go. But so far, for Denny Hamlin, it's looking so far so good. Pretty big storyline for Denny Hamlin, only 1 win away from win number 60. Ooh, that is going to be impressive. That is going to be exciting for him to eventually get that. I think Denny Hamlin will get win number 60 before the end of the year. I think it's definitely possible. It was really hard to determine who had the best car. It definitely felt like Hamlin had one of the better cars, but I mean this race, I mean, it was so hard to pass. It was so hard to pass here. So I don't really know, if he had the best car. It kind of felt like it was all over the place. But anyway, congratulations to Denny Hamlin, Joe Gibbs Racing. I believe this is Toyota's 200th win. No, not 200th win. This might be Joe Gibbs. I believe this is Joe Gibbs Racing's 200th win. Yeah, Joe Gibbs Racing's 200th win. Yeah, but wow, either way, pretty big accomplishment. Huge win for Denny Hamlin. Let's go ahead and take a look at the notable finishers. Chase Briscoe, a strong second-place run. Penske drivers of Blaney and Logano getting 4th and 5th. Ryan Blaney, huge recovery for him. He got spun out by Kyle Larson. Well, not really spun out. He got cleaned by Kyle Larson. Like in turn 3, Blaney was up on the top. Larson was on the bottom. And as they get up to turn number 4, Larson kind of seemed to move up high on the exit of turn 4, and it looks like Kyle Larson just hugely misjudged it, horribly wrong. They both kind of chatted after the race, and Kyle Larson, I mean, what was that? That looked really, really bad. Like, I don't think it was on purpose. I think it was an accident, but it definitely looked like a really bad accident, and if you look at it in more ways than one, so yeah, Blaney was definitely very hot on the radio, definitely very, very mad, understandably and justifiably so. Yeah, the fact that Blaney got back up to finish 4th is actually quite remarkable. That shows just how much speed Ryan Blaney and that number 12 team have. And same thing for Joey Logano, was below the cut line entering this race. Got stage points in stage 2, a top 5 run. Very, very good performance from him and the 22 group. Round of applause for him. John Hunter Nemechek for Legacy Motor Club gets a top 10. Good run for him. Christopher Bell as well gets a top 10. But instead of being kind of happy and relieved that he got a top 10, he was very mad, and probably the maddest I think I've ever seen him since Las Vegas in 2022, where he lost to Joey Logano at Las Vegas Motor Speedway in the round of 8 in the playoffs. According to Steven Toronto, Bell on the radio said, quote, "We just blank ran 7th with the best car on track. Every blank week, it's the same blank. We're the last car to pit road. I'm over it." I mean, looking back at it, he was definitely very, very upset, and I get his frustration. I really do, because last year Christopher Bell probably had the best car. He was hard charging, trying to pass the two Penske cars of Blaney and Cindric near the end, and unfortunately just didn't get it. And I think being bad is a good thing, because it means that Bell has high expectations at this track. And while yes, it was very, very hard to pass, I know he's not happy with the 7th place run. I still think it's a good, solid points day, because hey, I think it's the first round of the playoffs. There's going to be plenty of other times to get more wins. So yeah, I do get his frustration, because he has probably high expectations, but I think you also kind of need to take what you can get and just kind of move on. Good run for Bubba Wallace, getting a top 10. He was very fast. I think got the most stage points of this race, or close to the most stage points. He got stage points in stage 1 and in stage 2. I think he actually won stage 2 as well. So overall, very, very solid points day for Bubba Wallace. Kyle Larson finishes 12th, was also fast early in this race. Tyler Reddick finishes 17th. He had a pit road issue. The wheel was loose, and then he kind of went to Hamlin's pit stop to get the wheel tightened, or Hamlin's pit stall, I might add you, not Hamlin's pit stop. Unfortunately, Tyler Reddick did get a penalty, but was able to kind of salvage a top 20, so decent run for Tyler Reddick. Austin Cindric was in the top 10 for like 2/3 of this race. Remember, he won this race a year ago. I expected some big things from Austin Cindric. Was up in the top 10 for most of this race, and then seemed to just fall back and just struggle to climb back up through the field. Now, again, it was very, very hard to pass, so I'm not going to put it all on Austin Cindric and all on the car, but yeah, I mean, that doesn't mean it was impossible to pass, because other drivers were able to pass each other. Ross Chastain had a decent run going for him, but then during his green flag pit stop, a caution came out. He couldn't get the free pass. He had to do the wave around and ended up finishing 24th. SVG finished 25th. He seemed to be in the top 20 more often than not in this race, but then spun out a little bit more than halfway into this race and just wasn't able to really recover from there. Yeah, really tough one for him, especially considering he needed a really good day if he wanted to make the next round. Alex Bowman finishes 26th. Man, oh man, there's so much to talk about Alex Bowman. I mean, it just feels like anything wrong that happens just isn't his fault. And again, it was the pit crew that ultimately let him down near the end of this race. Now, I will say this. The pit crew, they were solid to start off. He was up in the top 5, top 10, but near the end of this race, near one of the final pit stops of the day, Bowman just had a slow pit stop and just wasn't really able to recover from there. And then there's Josh Berry. Last week, he crashed at Darlington on lap 1. He was able to make it a few more laps, but he got spun out by Chase Elliott near the end of stage 1 and also crashed out of the race. I don't know what to say. He's been his season so far, and his playoff run has just been absolutely atrocious, and it's been rough. It's been rough for Josh Berry. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what his season has been like ever since that win at Las Vegas. And, I think he needed to win Gateway to advance, or at least have a solid top 5 run, get stage points in stage 1 and 2. And now, since he crashed out early in stage 1 of both playoff races, he's now in a huge deficit hole. So those are your notable finishers. Let's take a look at the playoff cut line. Taking a look at the drivers that are out with one race left in the round of 16, Austin Dillon is the first driver out, 11 points below the cut line. Considering the day he had, which was outside the top 25 for most of the day, and then ending up to finish 18th, that's honestly not too bad. 11 points, that's easily doable, and you can definitely make that up without a win. SVG came into this race +3, now leaves this race minus 15 points below the cut line. I had him out on the first round. I feel pretty good about that so far. I just don't see it. I just do not see him making up 15 points at Bristol next week. Alex Bowman is minus 35. If he didn't have that pit road issue near the end of this race, I feel like his points position might not have been as bad, but yeah, 35 points out. I think he needs to win. I don't think there's a way to really make up 35 points on points, so yeah, I think that's his best shot, is just a win. And as for Josh Berry, he's minus 45 points out below the cut line. At least his goal is simple. His goal is basically the same as Alex Bowman. He just has to win. He's kind of coming from a short track background, so he has a good shot to win, as well as Alex Bowman, but I don't see either driver winning Bristol this weekend. Now, let's take a look at who is still in. Austin Cindric is the last guy in, 11 points to the good above the cut line. I will say that's a little bit low. I expected a little bit better result from him at Gateway. I know this race was hard to pass, and I don't know. I feel like Bristol is going to be such a wild card this upcoming weekend, and yeah, it's going to be difficult. It all depends on how qualifying goes for Austin Cindric. Ross Chastain is 19 points above the cut line. I think he is okay if he just kind of keeps it clean, as well as Joey Logano, who is plus 21 points above the cut line. Remember, he was the first guy out 3 points below. He is now plus 21. That is a huge effort for him. A great performance for the 22 team. I think he's okay as long as he kind of keeps it relatively clean and just mainly try to go for stage points. I think that's the best. I think that's his best play. And kind of same thing for Chastain. Chastain also needs to go for stage points, as well as Austin Cindric and Austin Dillon. Chase Elliott is 28 points above the cut line. I think he is okay as well. Same thing for Christopher Bell, who is 32 points above the cut line. Reddick is plus 37. He's pretty much safe, as well as William Byron, who's plus 39. Ryan Blaney is plus 42. I would think he is also safe. I think those drivers that I mentioned are also pretty safe. Bubba Wallace is minus 50. Man, oh man, that's insane right there. I had him out on the first round, and he's making me look really, really stupid pretty much. And really good points day for him. He is plus 50 points above the cut line. I think he's safe. And then the last guy is Kyle Larson. He is 60 points above the cut line. Yeah, he's definitely moving on. And then the two other playoff drivers who have already won, Chase Briscoe at Darlington in the first round, and then obviously Denny Hamlin at World Wide Technology Raceway. So that's the playoff cut line. It'll be interesting to see what happens with one race left in the round of 16, and that one race being Bristol. Ooh, definitely can't wait. This cup race at Gateway was okay. Lots of cautions, all kind of spread out. It was nicely thin. Kind of had a nice little rhythm. Different amounts of strategy. It was very, 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 very difficult to pass. Like, Ryan Blaney was in fourth near the end of this race, and he was trying to pass Chase Elliott and just couldn't find a way around him. And actually, I do think Ryan Blaney had a shot at the win to contend with Denny Hamlin. I think he had a decent shot at him, but yeah, you just can't. It's just super, super hard to pass. I mean, it's kind of what I expected from this. Gateway is a flat track, and with this next-gen car and how hard it is to pass on short tracks, it's kind of what I expected, to be honest. So we had a deserving winner. Lots of surprising moments, like Ryan Blaney getting cleaned out by Kyle Larson and Josh Berry crashing out before stage one even ends. Yeah, I mean, that was just a huge, shocking moment. So overall, it was a pretty decent race. Now we'll go ahead and move on to the NASCAR Xfinity Series race at World Wide Technology Raceway. I probably could have flip-flopped them around, but I really wanted to focus on the Cup Series race first. For the Xfinity Series, I mean, this race was the last race of the regular season for the Xfinity Series, and there is a good amount to talk about. Where do we even start first? Let's go ahead and do Connor Zilisch. I mean, yeah, he won. he's just going to win everything. He's probably going to win like the last 10 races. I can't right now. I mean, this kid is on a generational run, and I kind of hope that we don't see other drivers that have as good of a season as Connor Zilisch is having right now, at least for a little while, because I think we should be able to kind of relish in and take in how dominant Connor Zilisch has been. And if Connor Zilisch doesn't make the championship 4, I think a lot of us will be very, very surprised and probably upset, because Connor Zilisch is a championship 4 favorite at this point. There's zero way he doesn't make it. So, yeah, nobody really seemed to have anything for him for this race. Zilisch wins. He also wins the regular season championship, and with this win, Junior Motorsports has now won at every single track. Unbelievable. That is just insane. Connor Zilisch, he's going to make Trackhouse look really, really good in 2026 next year. Let's go over the notable finishers. William Sawalich, another second-place finish, was just very, very close to getting that win near the end. Just one spot short. I swear, the second half of this regular season for William Sawalich has been very, very impressive. If he could just turn that and translate that in the first half, I think he would have contended for a playoff spot. But, the rough first half that he had just put him in such a deep hole. We'll give a lot of credit to him for trying to dig out of that hole and kind of try to be able to contend for a lot of victories. Christian Eckes, like William Sawalich, also needed to win to make the playoffs. Came very, very close, finishing third. Shout out to Parker Retzlaff getting a top 10 in his 100th Xfinity Series start. That's pretty good. Corey Day and Daniel Dye also getting some good top 10 finishes. Matt DiBenedetto for Viking Motorsports, a solid 11th. Anthony Alfredo, Brennan Poole, Jeremy Clements getting solid top 15 runs. Harrison Burton spun out a little bit late in this race with about 30 laps to go. He was the last guy in the playoffs entering this race. Ultimately, it didn't really matter since Connor Zilisch won like he always does. So, yeah. Sheldon Creed, Sam Mayer were both involved in a late race accident. AM Racing fielded a second car with Cole Raz. Unfortunately for Cole, he suffered a mechanical issue early in this race, was able to kind of keep running, but he ends up finishing 34th. Jeb Burton was the first driver out of the playoffs on the bubble, finishes 36th, unfortunately blew out a tire just before the exit of turn 2. His teammate Jordan Anderson also had that issue earlier in the race, so unfortunate for Jeb Burton and Jordan Anderson. Those are your notable finishers. Let's take a look at who's in the playoffs. Carson Kvapil had already clinched his way into the playoffs on points at Portland a couple weeks ago. Now, looking at the playoff bubble, it didn't really change, entering this race. Harrison Burton, Sheldon Creed, Taylor Gray, those are the three drivers who have filled the playoff grid, who made it to the playoffs on points. Just want to take a look at some notable drivers that are out right now. No colleague drivers in the playoffs. That is pretty surprising. William Sawalich also not in the playoffs for Joe Gibbs Racing. I feel like if William Sawalich had turned those results that he's gotten in the past couple of months and almost kind of translated them into the first half, I feel like he really could have contended for a playoff spot. But hey, it's something to build for next year. Ryan Sieg is also not in the playoffs. None of the Alpha Prime Racing cars are in the playoffs, like Brennan Poole. Ryan Ellis is also not in the playoffs. So, yeah, those are some drivers that aren't in the playoffs. Let's go ahead and take a look at the cut line. 12 drivers have a shot at the title starting at the round of 12. 3 races for the round of 12 for the Xfinity Series are in this order, starting at Bristol this upcoming weekend, then going to a 1.5 mile track at Kansas Speedway, then the Charlotte Roval being the elimination race. Let's go ahead and take a look at the cut line. Starting at the very top, Connor Zilisch, with the dominant season that he's had, he's plus 59 points. Yeah, he's 100% moving on. Even if he does have an issue like in stage 1 or something, I still think he's going to be moving on. Justin Allgaier is plus 30. I can see him making to the round of 8 for right now. Sam Mayer is plus 11. I like the speed that he's shown. I think he's got enough speed to make it to the round of 8. Jesse Love and Brandon Jones are 8 points to the good, 8 points above the cut line, so I think they're pretty good. Sammy Smith is plus 4. I'm a little bit concerned about him, but I mean, we'll all have to, it all kind of depends on what happens at Bristol. Nick Sanchez is 1 point to the good right now, and the last driver in is Taylor Gray, and he is tied with Carson Kvapil. Sheldon Creed is 2 points out, the second driver out. Harrison Burton, the last guy in, is 3 points out, and then Austin Hill is 5 points out. Again, 4 drivers are eliminated at the Charlotte Roval starting in October, so got to get through Bristol and then Kansas, and then at the Charlotte Roval, that's when we'll start to eliminate some drivers. So that's the playoff cut line and the notable finishers for the Xfinity Series race. I thought this race was okay. Kind of felt like the Gen 6 race, if the Gen 6 kind of raced here, so it was decent. It was okay. Very glad that the regular season for the Xfinity Series is finally over. Now we'll go ahead and move on to the Italian Grand Prix. It's just going to be a quick little recap, just kind of like last week. I thought this race was good. Verstappen pretty much won this race as soon as it started. Kind of cut turn 1 a little bit at the start of this race. I swear it felt like he was watching the Xfinity race at Portland. But no, seriously, congratulations to him. I think this is a big win for Red Bull and him. I think they still have something. They might have something for McLaren next year, but I still think they have a lot of work to do. Let's go ahead and take a look at the notable finishers. Lando Norris outpoints Oscar Piastri only by a couple. Cuts into Piastri's lead a tad bit. That's pretty big for the Drivers' Championship. We'll take a look at that in a moment. Alex Albon, great top 10 run for him. Same thing for Gabriel Bortoleto. Isaac Hadjar getting the last points. Wow, really solid points for all 3 of those drivers. Yuki Tsunoda getting no points. That second Red Bull car, I mean, it's just not as good. It is just not as good as the car that Verstappen has. I'm convinced the statistics do not lie. Huge bummer for Fernando Alonso DNFing. I think he had hit the curb and then something in the right front brake or something just kind of broke. He was running in the top 10. He was running 9th, so big shame for him and Aston Martin. Nico Hülkenberg, he didn't even get to race. Apparently the team told him to retire the car. Yeah, does anyone know why that's the case? Because I've looked kind of everywhere and I just haven't seen anything of why Hülkenberg retired the car. Maybe they wanted to save the car for the next race. I don't know. That's pretty weird. Very unfortunate for Nico Hülkenberg. Those are your notable finishers. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Drivers' Championship standings. Piastri still has a pretty big lead, only 31 points ahead of Lando Norris, who's second in the standings. I do want to shout out Alex Albon, getting up to 7th in points. That's pretty good. Isaac Hadjar just passed Nico Hülkenberg. He's now up to 9th. And then on the Constructors' Championship, McLaren is up by like 400 points, so they're definitely going to win it. And then it's a nice battle for second. Currently, Ferrari holds on to second place for now, ahead of Mercedes by 30. And then there's also Red Bull as well. That's only 41 points behind Ferrari. So a nice 3-team battle in the Constructors' Championship for second as well. That's going to be something to definitely keep an eye on. Overall, decent F1 race with 8 races left in the F1 2025 season. I think I said that last week. Now there's truly 8 races left. Alrighty, so now we're going to go ahead and kind of get into our Motorsports segment. There's quite a bit to talk about here. It's a nicely filled Motorsports segment. We'll go ahead and start off with some Xfinity Series news to talk to. First off, Junior Motorsports has announced that Sammy Smith will return to the number 8 car for 2026. Honestly, good move for Junior Motorsports. Sammy Smith in my eyes, has been improving. It hasn't been much improvement so far. I mean, despite having less top 5s and less top 10s right now. And, I will say he does have a better average finish than last year's. But as far as performance-wise goes, I think Sammy Smith has been doing good. He's been up in the top 10 more often than not. He's got a win. He's got funding with him. Overall, it's a pretty big move for Junior Motorsports and for Sammy Smith. So, yeah, pretty happy with this move. Hopefully, Sammy Smith can adjust and be even better in 2026. Continuing with the top Xfinity Series teams, Haas Factory Team, a rebrand from Stewart-Haas Racing, they have announced that they will switch manufacturers. They currently field Fords, and in 2026, they will now field Chevys for the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series and also for the Cup Series, since they field one full-time car in the Cup Series, and that's with Cole Custer. The team will have a technical alliance with Hendrick Motorsports, and they also announced that Sam Mayer and Sheldon Creed will return to the team for next year. First off, for the Cup Series side, I don't see how this is going to make their program any better. They're one of the worst teams in Ford right now, and I feel like with this move, this makes them one of the worst Chevy teams right now. So, I don't know, maybe this technical alliance with Hendrick Motorsports will prove me wrong, but for the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series program, I don't see this making much sense either. There's already many Chevy organizations that are contending for wins. I'll even name a few of them. Junior Motorsports with Connor Zilisch, Richard Childress Racing, Colleague Racing, Big Machine Racing even has a win. And now there's going to be like 5 top Chevy Xfinity organizations. And with this switch, I just feel like Haas Factory Team will end up being worse, because at least when they were with Ford, they had the most support. They were contending for wins. Like Sam Mayer has a win, and that's the only win that Ford has, and that's at Iowa. And I'm just predicting it. They are not going to win next year, and I don't know if they'll even make the playoffs for next year. Now, it's still very, very early. Obviously, we have to get through 2025. I think there's still a couple more months left in the NASCAR season, but yeah, just a big surprising move, and I don't think this team will be contending for wins. I think this team is going to be struggling a little bit for next year for the Xfinity Series, or the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, I should say, and as well as the Cup Series as well, but definitely wishing the best of luck. I do want to talk about Ford, though, with Haas Factory Team now switching from Ford to Chevy. What happens now? Like, who do they have left? Right now, they currently have Haas Factory Team, AM Racing, and RSS Racing with Ryan Sieg. That's pretty much about it. Now, with Haas Factory Team out, that's like half of their entries right now. So, pretty much they have left are AM Racing and RSS Racing. So, who could actually join Ford? Who are the teams that could actually join and run Fords? Junior Motorsports, RCR, Big Machine, very, very unlikely. Joe Gibbs Racing, that's probably never going to happen. Sam Hunt Racing is working closely with Toyota, so I don't really see that happening. Jordan Anderson Racing is a possibility. That's a team that could switch to Ford. Alpha Prime Racing is also another team that I'm kind of keeping my eye on. But if you ask me, one team that I think should really make this move, now, it might not even happen, but that team is going to be actually Colleague Racing. Listen, Colleague Racing does not have much to lose right now. They're currently in their worst statistical season so far. They're teaming up with Ram in the Truck Series with nothing to lose. So, hey, what's to say they can't do the same thing with Ford? Now, again, this might be a short-term gain for Ford right now, but there's a lot of questions. What if Colleague fielding Ram trucks doesn't work out? What if that just doesn't work out and they happen to switch? Because a new manufacturer, don't get me wrong, it's great, but it's going to take a while for them to even get competitive and start winning championships. I mean, that's what happened with Toyota when Toyota first started to join. They struggled right out of the gate, and now they are what they are right now. So, I don't know. I feel like if Kaulig Racing switches to Ford next year, I think they'll be a huge threat. But that's if Kaulig Racing switches to Ford and runs Ford cars. I mean, I see the potential. I see the potential in Kaulig Racing to make this move like even sweeter. I see big potential in Kaulig Racing, and I truly believe that if Kaulig Racing switches to Ford, that this team will go out on a banger. This team will have a hot streak. It will have a ton of support following them. That's just my thoughts. Again, it's something to kind of keep an eye on as far as which team will switch to Ford for next year. But yeah, I mean, my ultimate goal, my heart kind of wants it. My dream goal kind of wants Kaulig Racing to switch to Ford for 2026. Alrighty, so that's all of the Xfinity Series reports that we've gotten. Now we'll kind of go on and move into IndyCar. Lots of IndyCar news to talk about to start off the IndyCar offseason. First off, Colton Herta, driver of the number 26 for Andretti Global. He is going to F1 to be Cadillac's F1 test driver, according to a TWG Motorsports announcement. Another piece of news, Will Power, after being with Team Penske for 17 years, he will take Colton Herta's ride, and Rinus VeeKay, driver of the number 18 for Dale Coyne Racing, he has left the team. Lots to digest here. First off, Colton Herta being a test driver for Cadillac, that's a pretty big deal. For next year, it's going to give him a lot of time to adjust to the new F1 car. Cadillac has already announced that Valtteri Bottas and Sergio Perez are going to be their drivers, so that's kind of like a good starting block for Cadillac, you know, being a new team in F1 for 2026. And I think with Colton Herta, who has plenty of experience in an open-wheel car, I think IndyCar and F1 are, like, they're pretty much near the exact same thing. And with Herta being an F1 test car, I think that kind of leads the possibility to Colton Herta actually being a Formula One driver. Again, it might not even happen, but I do kind of like I think it's interesting for Colton Herta to be a test driver and leave IndyCar, kind of try something new. And I actually like that. I like it when drivers try something new in their careers. So yeah, wishing Colton Herta the best of luck. For Will Power taking his ride, I mean, first off, what an era for Will Power and Team Penske. 17 years Will Power and Team Penske have worked together. And during that time, Will Power has gotten 42 IndyCar wins, 2 IndyCar championships, 1 Indy 500 win, 71 poles. Oh my gosh, 71 poles. That's insane. That is just unbelievable. I mean, that's an insane resume for Will Power and Team Penske. Team Penske is losing a veteran driver of Will Power. In my opinion, Will Power was Penske's best driver this year in the IndyCar Series. And now it's the end of an era. Will Power moving on from Team Penske and going to Andretti Global to drive the 26. As far as early expectations go for Will Power next year, I don't think he's gonna be as competitive with Andretti as he was with Team Penske, but I still expect him to be competitive because for many years now, Colton Herta has been carrying the Andretti banner, and now he's going off in a new journey in F1, and now Will Power, a veteran driver, takes his place. I will say I am surprised that Will Power hasn't announced any retirement because he's a driver that's approaching retirement in my eyes. And I do think that he should have stuck with Team Penske for another couple of years and then announced his retirement. But I also don't blame him for wanting to leave. And according to all of the statements and everything that I've read, it sounds like it was Will Power's decision to leave the team. And I don't blame him for that. He doesn't want to go what Team Penske just went through this year with the whole Indy 500 scandal and cheating scenarios and Team Penske firing their top executives like Tim Cindric. Will Power doesn't really want to go through all of that again. And I don't really blame him, but huge story for Team Penske and the IndyCar Series, wishing Will Power the best of luck. Now the question is, who's going to replace him? And this is where Rinus VeeKay comes into play. There's been many reports that suggest that David Malukas is going to take over Will Power's ride. But right now, I'm kind of thinking, well, what about Rinus VeeKay? Rinus VeeKay announced that he won't return in the number 18 car for Dale Coyne Racing next year. And it kind of got me thinking. His announcement was like very, very quick. It happened like a day after Will Power announced that he's not going to return to Team Penske. And it kind of got me thinking that, like, hey, is this a move for Rinus VeeKay to potentially get Will Power's seat, or even kind of get him lined up for a Team Penske seat? I don't know. It's something to keep an eye on, but it really kind of got me thinking that it's like, hey, Rinus VeeKay might want that ride instead of David Malukas. You know what I mean? Like, VeeKay might want it more. It kind of makes sense. It's kind of ironic knowing that, like, Rinus VeeKay, a day after Will Power announced that he would leave Team Penske, he announced that he would leave Dale Coyne Racing. So I don't know. It kind of makes me. It just kind of got me thinking. Like, is Rinus VeeKay trying to get a seat at Team Penske? I think it's a possibility that could make sense if VeeKay has the funding to bring. But yeah, I do eventually think that David Malukas will eventually take over for Will Power. But I'm always going to be keeping my eyes open. Rinus VeeKay could be the guy that takes over Will Power's ride. Again, this is all just huge amounts of speculation. This is just me talking. There's no announcement just yet, no official announcement. So it will be very, very interesting to see when Team Penske announces their third IndyCar driver for 2026. So that's the motorsports news segment that I've got for you. I want to talk a little bit about Osprey Racing and their open house that they had last week, since we've got quite a bit of time left. If anyone has seen the Osprey Racing Instagram post, their most recent one, and if you've seen the photos, fun fact, I was the one who actually took those photos, and it was very, very interesting because I had kind of gotten my hands on some nice cameras in a couple of my film classes last year, and the team and I kind of saw this as a great opportunity to kind of get my hands on some nice cameras and kind of start with doing like photographs and doing like professional photos. And considering I had done them for the first time ever, I'm very proud of myself. On the Osprey Racing Instagram, all those photos were all taken by me, and I have to admit, they look very, very nice. And I ended up taking like over 400 in total. A lot of them were pretty like blurred out because I kind of had to deal with, I kind of was having to like constantly adjust the different camera settings because I was borrowing one of the Osprey Racing team members' cameras. So yeah, it was pretty cool to see, you know, a lot of the team like really happy with the photos that I had taken, and they were like, "Yo, man, this was fire, yeah, man! Like, yo, this guy did so good. Like, Wyatt did so good." So, yeah, I'm really happy with how the team felt about those photos. I know I can do better. You know, there's a lot of room for improvement, but knowing that the team and I were very happy with how those photos turned out, that was definitely pretty cool. As far as the actual open house itself, I mean, holy crap. That was probably the biggest turnout I think I had ever seen. I have never seen that big of a crowd before. There were so many students just interested in the club, wanting to learn. And in my eyes, I think it was a huge success. Don White, the Osprey Racing team advocate, was there, and he basically bragged about me and my podcast and how I've kind of taken advantage of all of his connections and whatnot, and it was kind of crazy. I was like, almost every student was out here just kind of talking to me, kind of like what I do, and I was like, well, this is what I do. I do this. I help out I help out when I can, wherever I can. And yeah, I felt like I was the popular kid in school. It was pretty overwhelming, but I also thought it was very, very cool. So that's kind of pretty much the Osprey Racing open house. I believe there's going to be a convocation at the UNF Arena. The Osprey Racing car will be out probably next to the athletic groups in the UNF Arena on Friday, September 12th. I think the event starts at 9 a.m. and I believe will end at 1 in the afternoon. So I will be there for the entire duration of the event, kind of taking photos and whatnot. So if you see me and you're listening to this and if you want to say hi, feel free to come and say hello. I would love to say hi and just kind of do a lot of chatting with you. And it looks like that's going to be it. It was a little bit of a short, it was a pretty short, a somewhat short episode this week. We'll be back next week. We've got the ARCA West race at All-American Speedway. Then we've got the ARCA Trucks Xfinity Cup at Bristol Motor Speedway. No IndyCar or F1 this weekend. So lots of stock car, short track racing to talk about. I will see you all later. Have a great day, everybody.